Welcome everybody back to the Figure Kit Garage. Brent Krug bringing you another out-of-the-box kit review. This kit comes to us from Mr. Troy Nayart and his company, Shadow Kreations. This is based on the character of Henry Jared in the 1953 film House of Wax, starring the late great horror icon himself, Mr. Vincent Price. This piece was sculpted by Brian Hamilton and comes in 8 pieces, 2 gray and 6 off-white resin pieces altogether. This character, for those of you who've never seen the film, which if there's anybody out there that's never seen House of Wax, I'll be very surprised. Henry Jared was a prolific wax sculptor in a museum in New York in the 1900s who was injured by being doused with kerosene during a fire set by his partner, who wanted to get out of his contract with Mr. Jared, and he suffered severe burn scars and wound up becoming a vengeful murderer, taking victims and encasing their corpses in wax to display in his wax museum of various characters and poses of all depictions. This kit, when we first got it out of the box, this is Virginia's kit. She's a very big Vincent Price fan, and the moment she saw it, she knew she wanted it. Came to us on Tuesday, and looking at it, very cleanly casted. The sculpting by Brian Hamilton is really, really excellent. We'll start off with the base. Got a little bit of weight to it, not too over heavy. It's like a light gray speckled resin. Really nice marquee style logo right in the front. Brickwork all the way around. Tile on the floor, and lots of dripping wax to paint. She's going to have fun with that one. Yeah, she's going to have fun with that one. Very nicely sculpted. Then Mr. Jared's overcoat and scarf. Not too overstated or understated for the character, because he's pretty much dressed in all black throughout the film. And for those of you that didn't know, House of Wax was the first ever color 3D motion picture released by an American movie studio, and didn't do very well at the theaters, but it did develop one heck of a cult following. Even to this day, there are still lots of fans out there that love the film. There was a remake in 1990 which didn't even come close. But all in all, Brian got the clothing detail rather nice. Not a lot of cleanup thus far between the base and the upper body. And this is a big 1/3 scale bust. So more than likely it's going to take up quite a bit of room height-wise. Footprint-wise, the measurement width-wise is right around 6.5 inches wide by just a hair under 4.5 inches in depth. The floppy hat that Professor Jared wears during the film, nicely rendered, very floppy style, the way he wore it to hide his face. Keyed, there's 2 heads for this bust, one with hat and one without, and keyed for the one that's going to wear the hat. Then you have the 2 coat collar pieces. Just set that right there. Coat collar pieces that will fit in. Make sure I get these right. A little bit of bending and blending and sanding. There's some epoxy sculpt, and this will fit in there. Oops, sorry about the camera shake. Like so. A little offset on the collar line, but nothing that can't be fixed. Get that blended in, you'll never know it was like that. But for the piece count and for the size, this kit is really, really excellent. We're going to move to the first portrait, showing the damage caused by the being doused in kerosene and the subsequent fire that Professor Jared was thought to have died in. Little seam line going across the skin, working its way down. A little bit through the hair, but nothing that can't be taken care of. Got tools especially for doing that. Really nice scar work. I looked up full color photos of the character on Google the other night, and Brian really got the overall look of the character as he appeared in the final part of the film after the mask he was wearing was ripped away and revealed what he looked like with all the burn scars. Pretty gruesome, to say the least. Hair nicely rendered. I don't even know if that's a face a mother could love. Then this will be the other head that comes with the kit. Key at the top for the hat. Exact same detail as the one with the sculpted hair. Beautifully rendered by Brian. And hat will fit on like so. And a little bit of gap between the skin and the hat, but nothing that can't be taken care of with epoxy sculpt. Same along this side. Get that blended in, you'll never know it was there. Nice that it has a two-headed option for either version of the character with or without the hat. Very nice addition. And then the last piece that we have for this kit is the wax mask that Jared wore all throughout the film to hide the burn scars that was eventually ripped away, showing off the face of Vincent Price. Wonderfully rendered. Mustache and goatee. With cracks in the surface of the wax. And this is not meant to be placed on the face itself. Meant to go right about... right in that area right there, just like so. Look quite nice. Probably have to... there we go. Stands out quite well. Probably put a magnet in there and in the wax drips on the corner. That way you put it on there and it definitely won't come off. Now I'm going to... One of the posts did break off either during casting or during shipment. I got it right here for the bust. I can glue that back on with steel reinforced epoxy. Won't make any difference. That's easily correctable. It's not Troy's fault. Placed on top of his base. Get the non-hat wearing version put on there. There's no peg on the underside of the neck. Looks like it got broke off as well. So I'll have to help her with that, sand that down, drill into the head, and then put a brass rod in there if she wants to switch it out, which is kind of nice. I mean, if you have the capability of making a separate stand for the alternate head to display it, display both head, one with the head, one with the other, side by side. So folks that see it can see one with and one without. And without the hat, he stands right a hair under 10 3/4 inches in height. And I'm going to try it with the hat. Not sure if I'm going to be successful, to say the least. I'm using a Quake putty to hold him on. See if that makes any difference. Oops. Don't want to break this. Virginia will kill me. Goes on just like that. With the hat, just a hair under 11.5 inches in overall height. So height-wise, it takes a pretty good amount of space, especially with the hat on option. Overall, size-wise, it's really not that bad for a 1/3 scale bust. Just executed very well. The only thing about this bust is it's a more somber note. Sadly, this was the last bust that Brian Hamilton would sculpt before his passing in February of 2019. He had done quite a few pieces over the years. A Glenn Strange Frankenstein for Needful Things. He had done several previous House of Wax busts, although I'm not sure who the manufacturer was of those pieces. Mr. Sardonicus, another Glenn Strange Frankenstein, which looked really, really good. Two pieces of note that I noticed recently while I was looking up to see what he had done was he did 2 kits for Resin Crypt models, one of which being the Boris Karloff from the movie The Raven, which on Resin Crypt's website he did have the distinction of both being the sculptor and the painter of that particular piece. And he worked in collaboration with the Headless Horseman, Fritz Freising, on the Henry Hull Werewolf of London kit. Fritz sculpted a really excellent base, and Brian captured Henry Hull's portrayal of the character in full werewolf makeup, and the two pieces work really, really well together. I never got to meet Brian in person, but from everything I'd seen on the Clubhouse and on Facebook, a lot of people really, really did enjoy speaking with him. I'm not sure if he ever made it to Wonderfest. More than likely he probably did, and Jersey Fest as well. For those that knew him well, my condolences on that loss. I had no idea that he had even passed away, sadly. But this being his final piece that he would sculpt definitely speaks very highly of not just his creativity, but his talent as a sculptor and his devotion to the craft that he practiced and sought out to make better in every possible way. Troy was very, very well founded in getting Brian to do this piece for him. And, you know, it's a sad thing when, you know, this hobby, I've been involved in it for almost 30 years. And within the last 3 to 5 years alone, we've lost so many bright lights in this hobby. Brian Hamilton, Mike Parks, John Tuckey, Don Mathis from Don's Light and Magic, Tom Parker from Cult of Personality Productions. Brian's in very, very good company with those gentlemen. He just, you know, gave a lot to this, you know, gave a lot to the hobby and all the figures he created. This speaks very highly of the type of talent that he was, and the type of talent that will be missed since his passing. So, to Brian, I can only say this: you were definitely one of a kind, without a doubt. That wraps up this review. I'll be hopefully posting another review tomorrow night. It'll be a blast to the past night. I have 2 more kits coming, both from the 1990s, the heyday of the figure kit hobby, as it were. Gentleman on Facebook was selling off a large amount of his collection, and Virginia and I grabbed 2 of them. One of them being the Volks Lady Slave resin kit, which she had been chasing down quite literally for the better part of the past 10 years. And I'll be getting the heavy metal based on the artwork from the very popular magazine here in the United States. So I'll be doing a Blast of the Past review on that tomorrow night. So for Virginia and myself, before I go, this is not something that a lot of people like talking about on video, but with everything that's been going on within the last month and a half, it's almost 2 months, with the very deadly disease that is spread all over the world like a wildfire that cannot be stopped. I want to say a very big thank you to all the first responders, of which Mr. Paul Gill is one of them. My cousin Susan and Mackenzie, who are both nurses back in the Midwest. I hope you guys stay safe. All the doctors, EMTs, firemen, everybody out there that's dealing with this in a frontline manner, for God's sake, watch over yourselves. We already know how lethal this thing is. And for all those of you who are observing shelter-in-place orders or having to quarantine yourself because you've been stricken by this, which thankfully no one in my family has, take care of yourselves and one another. Because that is the only way we're going to get through this. I won't lie to you one damn bit when I say I am frightened to death of this disease. And I have every right to be. I have a lot of family members that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s. My mother being one of them. She'll be 73 next month. I am very concerned for their health and their safety, as we all should be. I make no light of that in any way, shape, or form. So please take care of yourselves and one another. Stay healthy. And let's get through this so we can get back to our regular lives, whatever that is now. Bless you all. Build a kit.